I've been off for 11 days. Tomorrow is my first day back. It's a little one-day shoot up in Austin. I'll get into those details in a bit. But first, I need to unpack from my previous trip to Washington, D.C. Airline mode. I just cracked these cases open for the first time. I did charge the batteries the night I got home, but everything else has been sitting in the garage, including my dirty laundry was in the tripod case. So I got this local day tomorrow, and then my next project in the calendar is Las Vegas, airline mode once again. However, the configuration is going to be a little bit different, and I don't have specifics just yet on what we're doing. It's a week-long project, so I'm thinking it's best to restore everything to defaults in the truck. It's nice to see those airline cases put away for a bit. I think they've been in use continuously now for about 6 months. Update on the messy half of the garage. I got my workbench rack moved to storage, and it's just unbelievable. I keep moving things, getting rid of things, and I'm still not freeing up any floor space. These petrol cases are soft bags, and they had like little detachable carts. The carts have been broken and thrown away long ago, but these are what I used for airline before Pelican Air existed. And I have not used these things in years, but I mean, I think they were like $200-300 a piece, plus the cart. They might have been like $500 bags back in the day. I just can't bring myself to throw them away. There's nothing wrong with them, but at the same time, I don't really have a use for them. I am so anxious to buy a Sony FX3, but my reserve capital to pay cash for one keeps getting consumed by other more immediate needs. I bought another tripod. This one's a Zackler 12 SB, the DV vintage. My other heads, this is my fourth Zackler, so now I have 12, 15, 18, 20, all the SB vintage except for my 20 is a 20 plus, a little bit older. The Plus series, I think it's the same maximum weight, but they don't go as low, and they have like half the number of steps of counterbalance. So the 20 plus, like I couldn't run the C300s back in the day on the 20 plus. It was just too much springiness, but it's a decent head for like an onboard teleprompter, and it's pushing it a little bit. It's not super smooth, but it does counterbalance with my Amira fully dress and cine mode with the 30 to 300. However, when I was shooting a lot of commercials, I used to run the O'Connor 2060. I've since sold that off. It was so high maintenance. About every 2 years, I'd have to put about $2,000 in service into it. So, longtime Zackler fan. The stuff just works and doesn't really need maintenance. The most common damage issue is this locking tilt brake. A producer will try to help out, and they fold the sticks up and lean the tripod against a wall or a car bumper, and then it falls, and every single time it's like a slice of pizza. It always lands on the little brake lever and gets bent or damaged. This head did not come with the touch and go plate or screws, but I have plenty of extras, and it did not come with a spreader. The Zackler spreaders I think are $650 US, and B&H Benro, the spreader's a little bit wider, but they're under $100. I think it was like $75 or $80 shipped with tax. And the one issue, they work great. I've got this on my 15 model. The little rubber captive stirrup things are too small. You can't stretch it up over the Zackler sticks. But the trick there is you slowly heat these up with a heat gun, slowly, and careful not to burn the rubber, but you get it nice and warm, like to the point where it's just about burning your fingers. And then you can stretch them up over the feet. And after they've been on here a couple of months, they seem to stretch out and hold the new position, so you can pop them on and off. But there is a sub $100 solution when your Zackler sticks break. I think all my other sticks had the original spreaders, and they've just worn out over the years. I get the question, or just general ribbing frequently, about my ground spreaders versus mid-level. They used to be the industry standard thing 20, 25 years ago, and now everyone seems to run the mid-levels or the new, what are the speed sticks from Zackler called? I forget, Flowtech. Those are cool. I haven't bought those because, well, I'm kind of old school, stuck in my ways, but more importantly, I like this opening on these sticks because I can use a hook on my carts to hang sticks as opposed to stowing them in cases. Yeah, I've been taking some notes on why I'm so set in my way on the ground spreader, and at some point I'll make a video that breaks down why I prefer this. And I get it, everyone thinks ground spreaders are old school, obsolete, and yeah, I guess I'm just habits. I don't have to think about it, it fits my routine. So the side door of my van, I've got my tool chest, and I run 2 tripods on the side here, hanging from the upper stick. I just have to extend the sticks slightly. They don't actually have to be open that much, about that much. Sometimes a little castle nut gets in the way and I have to loosen it a little or just articulate the head to move the castle nut away from my hook. I made these, I think there's a video on my YouTube channel where I built one of these, but it's just mild steel welded together, and then 2 1/4-20 bolts fastened with blind nuts, riv nuts into the cart. And then I put this little upright piece here for hanging bags, gaff tape. Sometimes I'll put my backpack of personal items on there. My plan is to have this 3rd tripod live on board in addition to the 15 and 18. It will be replacing my old beat up Liebeck head, which is a little bit underrated for everything. Last couple shoots I've put my Amira on here with the 17-120 as a lock off on multicam coverage, and it's super dangerous. I've been lucky to have not dropped the camera, but these are going to get retired, and I don't want to travel in a bag. It's just time consuming and a nuisance. So what I'm thinking is maybe, oh, my messy truck, and I am going to clean this up in the coming weeks now that we're out of the 90+ degree weather here in Texas. I can put some time into the truck. But I'm thinking I'll put another hanger at the same height, like right here. And I think that'll clear the swing door, and there's still enough space for me to walk through the aisle here. And then that will also give me, if I don't need the 3rd tripod on here, it's another hook to hang other accessories, kind of like I'm doing with this baby pin. My previous van, this tool chest rode on the driver's side, so the sticks actually hung on this side of the cart. And this is the hanger for this side. I have to keep it off because otherwise those 2 tabs are the pressure points into the divider. So I've just left it in the cart just in case I need extra hangers. I've actually stuck it on there a few times on like multi-day studio jobs, just as additional points to hang cable and accessories, but I'm thinking I'll just repurpose this. And maybe if the holes line up and don't conflict with the sliding drawers, I'll just put this right here. I got to rethink my ratchet strap situation because that's going to be directly behind the tripod. It appears all it takes is 11 days off and I become an audio tech. And an agency I work for quite a bit that called in a favor, asked if I would cover and fill the sound role tomorrow in Austin. So I'm trying to get my little kit prepped. I'm got a little bit of anxiety here. I feel like a full-on imposter syndrome, even though I've been doing audio for years in addition to running the camera, including extensive live television. I have no idea what I'm doing tomorrow other than it's a corporate thing, so I assume it's just sit-down interviews or standing interviews. So I've got 1 locket box prepped for the camera. Not my camera. I don't know. Maybe multiple camera. I do have 3 of these, so I'm going to go in with 1 and then I'll run back to the truck if I need more. I got the smart slate. I just did a test sync with the mixer. All's good there. This is synchronized for camera. Obviously I'll rejam it in the morning. Got my 2 Electros prepped. I've got the 2 Rode mics, which I'll have with me in case I have RF issues, which has been my whole year since acquiring these back in December or January. I just rarely use them and end up going with the Rode mics. They don't sound as good, but they're rock solid. I've got 1 hardwired tram, and again, I have more in the truck if I need them. Cardioid, shotgun, boom pole holder, and I've got a stand and sandbag in the truck. I'm going to bring in my little rock and roller with the shelf. I don't have a chair, so there's my imposter syndrome. Sound person without a chair. There's no way I'm qualified. Headphones. I've got 2 SD cards ready to go. I'm going to go in with 2 XLRs, 1 for the boom pole, 1 for the potentially hardwired lav, and again, the truck is full of more should I need them. Got a couple of dry erase. Hey, help me out, sound folks or camera assistants. There's a brand that marks really well on the Denicky slate. Expo is garbage. I always forget what the brand is. Let me know in the comments below so I'm better prepared next time. I bought this fake moleskin on Amazon. I didn't realize how terrible it was until I got it. It's not furry and it's not sticky enough. I also have some of this medical sensor tape. So if I have to hide a lab, I can do that. I have the little bumblebee lab hider things for these guys in the bag. What else? What am I forgetting? Stand and cart are in the truck. I know I'm gonna get burned on some little thing because I don't carry all the little widgets that someone who does this every week has. Like for example, I don't have adapters if the camera has some other type of timecode connector other than BNC. All right, so I'm gonna put all of this stuff in my run bag, and in theory, I can roll in there with my little cart, 2 bags, and one sandbag. On location, 15 minutes early. Heavy equipment today, so I got my work boots on. Probably got to wear my high-vis vest, and I got a hard hat as well. I'm not sure if they require it here or not. I hung up my existing tripod hanger, my left side hanger, on the back of the cart so I can add my 3rd tripod, but then realized it won't actually hang here because if you look on the side here, there's like an indentation that is like, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of an inch deep, and it creates enough room for this locking lever. That's not the case on the back side, so I need to make hooks that extend out about a 1/2 inch additional. And if I'm going to do that, I think I'm going to go with a wider piece of stock because the tripods tend to swing around, and especially when it's facing fore and aft versus on the back side here, it's going to pendulum all over the place as I accelerate and brake. Working as an audio tech for a full day on a professional set, I made a punch list of all the little things I was missing. And so I've got 3 boxes from Amazon of mostly expendables, but I'll crack these boxes open and go through that later today. Easy B-roll day, just getting some insert shots of heavy equipment. This is I think an air handling unit that runs on 3-phase power, but they sent me the video edit with some stock placeholders and then a shot list and description of the actual equipment. And then I had some questions about running gold mount batteries on the back of an FX9 where you don't get the battery remain data in the viewfinder. You can see here with the Hypercore batteries, it gives you minutes and hours remaining, 2 hours, 2 minutes. I think I get just under 3 hours on a 95 watt hour. Not a big deal for me to just glance at the back of the battery. But let's get back to the location sound equipment. There are a few items missing from my kit that were either a minor inconvenience or cause for delay. First up, and I knew this going in, my crappy dry erase markers. The first assistant camera on the shoot suggested marks a lot, and he had some in his kit. So I picked up a package. And then for the semi-permanent marking on the slate, the things that last for the day or longer, you mark with Sharpie. And to remove Sharpie off of a slate, acetone, or in this case, nail polish remover. I have a gallon container acetone here at the house that I use to clean my lenses when they're really greasy or filthy, but I wanted a smaller container to keep in the van. So 8-ounce bottle, and be careful with this stuff. This stuff leaks. I have the cap on there tight and it doesn't matter, it still leaks. And look at this, just a little drop got on the table. Oh, just leaked on my finger. And it takes off the finish. So that was a bad purchase. They also sell acetone nail polish remover in little one-use alcohol pads, kind of like an alcohol pad, but it's acetone. I'm thinking maybe I'll get a box of those for my airline travel work. So I have the Sound Devices MixPre mixer, and it records to SD cards. It does not have a SIMO record option. So in past shoots, what I've done is hand off the card to the DIT, or I back it up myself at wrap. Walking into this production, it's a traveling documentary, they had their own media. So they gave me a Sound Devices SD card to record to. I handed that off at the end of the day, thinking they were gonna offload on site, but they didn't. They put them all in a case and they back up at their hotel. So that made me a little nervous because that was the only copy of sound. We had cameras timecode locked, but we were not feeding mixed to cameras. It is possible to mount a USB thumb drive to the MixPre series mixers, And while there is not a Simo record option, you can transfer files from the SD card to a USB thumb drive. So that's going to be my plan going forward. I'll always have this card mounted, because that SD card is on the bottom side of the mixer, and when it's in the bag, it's really hard to get the card in and out. So now the card can live in there, and this is my shuttle. A camera on this project was a Mini LF, which does not have a BNC timecode input. Instead, it's got a 5-pin LEMO. I don't carry a Mini or Alexa Studio style timecode cable in my kit. I probably should. Usually there's one in the camera case, but in this case we couldn't find it. And then I discovered my Deneki Slate uses the same cable. And in parallel to that, the AC did find a cable in the camera case. My miscellaneous item Pelican case was not in the truck because I looked at it thinking I didn't need it. And then I got to set and realized my additional XLRs, and I've got some DA direct boxes in that case, so like 1 XLR in to 3 XLR out. Would have been nice to hard feed the mix out to the 2 cameras during interviews. Wireless camera hops, I don't have anything like that on my truck. I'm thinking maybe I'll buy a couple of inexpensive UHF XLR based transmitters off of Amazon. I know there's a few knockoff or imitation versions of the Sony UHFs on there. I think Saramonic might be one of the brands. If there's one you like that's reasonably priced, it's just for scratch track. I'd be curious if you have any suggestions below. I think I need a 2-strap harness for my mixer. I had to do a bunch of B-roll where I'm booming with the mixer around my shoulder. I mean, it was okay. I think I went at tops like 30 minutes with the mixer hanging off my neck, and I was okay, but if I had to do something all day, probably should invest in a dual shoulder setup. And the last item, I think I need to buy a short coily XLR cable to go from the mixer to the boom.